Floyd Mayweather once proudly declared he had bought 62 apartment buildings in the heart of Manhattan. He posted videos, flashed photos online, and spoke as if he had just pulled off one of the greatest real estate deals of the decade. He even claimed he didn't need partners, didn't need help, this empire was his, and his alone. But when Business Insider decided to fact-check that bold statement, the cracks began to show almost immediately. There was no public record of the sale. No property transfers. Nothing to support the idea that Floyd owned all those buildings outright. It turned out he had only a small ownership stake, part of a much larger group, and the majority ownership hadn't even changed hands. The contrast between what Floyd said and what reality showed was staggering. And it wasn't just a one-off exaggeration. It was part of a pattern where the image mattered more than the truth, where the flex was more important than the fact. Floyd wasn't just trying to live a lavish lifestyle. He was trying to sell a fantasy to the world, a fantasy that was starting to unravel at the seams. This obsession with showcasing wealth isn't just harmless bragging. Experts have pointed out that when someone constantly feels the need to prove their riches, it often masks something deeper. Real billionaires, the ones who quietly move markets and change industries, don't need to pile up cash on a table for Instagram likes. Floyd's endless displays, counting millions in cash, showing off private jets, posing with luxury cars, were starting to look less like celebrations of success and more like desperate affirmations of self-worth. The truth is, Floyd's relationship with money has always been complicated. From the outside, it looks like he has everything. But the longer you watch, the clearer it becomes that he's caught in a vicious cycle. Make money, spend money, brag about money, and repeat. And sometimes, in that loop, the lines between reality and illusion blur beyond recognition. That blur was never clearer than during Floyd's foray into cryptocurrency and NFTs. After getting banned for 3 years from promoting securities following a massive ICO scam, you'd think he would have stayed far away from anything even remotely shady. But no, once the ban lifted, Floyd jumped right back into the world of questionable crypto promotions. One of his NFT projects, hyped up as a way for fans to own a piece of his legacy, ended up being a financial disaster. Prices crashed by over 90%, and the fans who bought in felt betrayed. Angry comments flooded Floyd's social media pages, accusing him of cashing out while they were left with worthless digital assets. It wasn't just bad business. It was personal betrayal. These were the same fans who had cheered him through every title defense, bought pay-per-views, and supported his brand. Floyd had taken their loyalty and turned it into another quick payday. And then there was Dubai. News broke that Floyd was trapped overseas after a jewelry scandal went sideways. Allegedly, someone from his camp had stolen an expensive piece of jewelry, and even though Floyd paid for it afterward, authorities refused to let him leave until the issue was fully resolved. He was effectively stuck. For nearly 2 months, Floyd Mayweather, the man who once flew across continents at the drop of a hat, was grounded, powerless to move. It was a stunning fall from grace and another sign that the chaos surrounding Floyd wasn't slowing down, it was accelerating. This wasn't an isolated incident. Over the past few years, Floyd's business dealings have been riddled with controversy. Fans have complained about paying for exclusive meet-and-greet events that never happened. Merch orders that were placed but never delivered. Promises made, then broken. One TikTok exposé went viral for pulling back the curtain on Floyd's empire, showing just how many cracks were hidden beneath the glossy surface. And then came Logan Paul. Their exhibition fight generated massive hype, and afterward, Logan openly accused Floyd of stiffing him out of millions. At first, it seemed like a joke, Logan cracking wise about chasing his paycheck. But then the lawsuits started looming. Logan made it clear, if Floyd didn't pay up, they'd settle the matter in court. It was another public relations disaster Floyd didn't need, especially as whispers about his real financial state grew louder. Critics who had once praised Floyd's business acumen started telling a different story. They pointed out that it doesn't matter how much you earn if you burn through it faster than you make it. Floyd's insane spending habits, lavish parties, extravagant shopping sprees, endless fleets of luxury cars, weren't signs of wealth. They were signs of financial instability waiting to implode. Chael Sonnen, a fellow fighter and sharp-tongued commentator, summed it up brutally. Floyd's problem isn't making money. It's keeping it. And when you look at the history of boxers and professional athletes who went broke, you start to see a grim pattern that Floyd seems to be following step by step. Floyd Mayweather once claimed he didn't fight for legacy, he fought for currency. Belts collect dust, he said. Money over legacy. It was a powerful line, but now it feels haunting. Because the money might not last forever. And without the money, what's left? Freedom, too, has been a fleeting thing for Floyd. After serving time for domestic violence charges years ago, he spoke about how precious freedom was to him. But once again, he's managed to trap himself, not with handcuffs this time, but with bad decisions, shady deals, and lawsuits piling up faster than victories. Even some of his oldest allies have turned their backs. 50 Cent, once a close friend, publicly called Floyd out for using people and discarding them when they were no longer useful. That kind of pattern isn't just bad for business, it's devastating for personal relationships. When the money runs low, and the entourage fades away, Floyd might find himself truly alone. The sad irony is that Floyd Mayweather was one of the greatest defensive fighters the world has ever seen. Inside the ring, he was untouchable. Strategic. Brilliant. He avoided damage with almost supernatural skill. But outside the ring, he's been unable to dodge the consequences of his own actions. His return to the spotlight against Logan Paul wasn't about competition. It wasn't about showing the world he still had the magic. It was about cash. Cold, hard cash. And even then, the fallout was messy, with lawsuits, accusations, and public humiliation dragging Floyd's name even deeper into the mud. When Logan joked that Floyd might be broke, people didn't dismiss it. They nodded. They believed it. Because the signs were everywhere. The constant need to show off cash. The unpaid debts. The endless new projects, each one sketchier than the last. Floyd Mayweather, the self-proclaimed best ever, was becoming a symbol, not of success, but of squandered potential. Even as Floyd prepares for another exhibition match, insiders whisper that it's not about legacy or passion. It's about necessity. It's about keeping the lights on. Every new fight is less about glory and more about survival. A paycheck, a brief surge of cash before the debts catch up again. It's heartbreaking when you think about it. A man who conquered boxing, who could have walked away as a legend, reduced to fighting YouTubers and chasing lawsuits just to stay afloat. Every flashy Instagram post, every rented jet, every mountain of cash splayed across a table feels less like a victory lap and more like a desperate attempt to convince the world, and maybe himself, that the empire hasn't fallen yet. The truth is, real empires don't need constant validation. They don't need to shout. They just exist. Floyd's endless bragging isn't proof of success. It's proof of fear. Fear that the fortune could disappear. Fear that the fame could fade. Fear that without the money, the world might forget about him altogether. From Business Insider debunking his real estate deals, to fans losing faith in his brand, to former friends exposing his selfishness, it's clear, Floyd's carefully crafted image is crumbling. And unlike a boxing match, there's no bell to save him when the final round comes. Maybe that's the ultimate tragedy. Floyd Mayweather was never beaten in the ring. He conquered every opponent who stood in front of him. But he couldn't conquer himself. His greatest battle was never with another fighter. It was with his own ego. And in that fight, he's losing. As lawsuits stack up, scandals continue, and former supporters turn into critics, the once untouchable champ is facing the one opponent he can't outmaneuver, the truth. The truth about his finances. The truth about his fading reputation. The truth about what happens when you choose currency over legacy, and end up with neither. In the end, Floyd Mayweather might still have a few million-dollar checks left to cash. But the respect, the admiration, the awe he once commanded? That's slipping through his fingers faster than any pile of $100 bills ever could. And when the money finally runs out, all that will remain is the cautionary tale of a man who had it all, and lost it, one reckless decision at a time.